In this video, we're going to review how to solve any single step equation. Really, it goes on to any step equation, but that's okay. Our evidence for today, we're going to use the properties of equality, of course. We're going to be using all four of them. We're going to isolate our variable, we're going to check our work, and then we're going to make sure that we show all of our work. So let's get right into it. It's going to be a shorter video this time.
Nice.
So, we have example 1 here. We have 5w is equal to 65. So, what I would strongly suggest doing, by which I mean do this, you're going to write down these step-by-step instructions. And step 1 is just to write your goal at the bottom. So what that means is we see that we have a w. Remember, our goal is always to isolate the variable. So we're going to put a w is equal to at the bottom. Step 2 is to identify which operation you need to get rid of. So in this example, we have 5w. Remember, we can also think of this as being 5 times w. So we know that we're going to need to undo some multiplication. And what is the opposite of multiplication? Of course, it's division. So we're going to use the opposite property of equality. And again, make sure that you are writing this down. Remember that when we are using an opposite property of equality, if we're either adding or subtracting, we want the number to become 0. If we're multiplying or dividing, such as we are in this case, we want it to become a 1. So we're going to divide both sides by 5, since that's also the number that we want to get rid of. And we could add that in as a step as well. Use the number you want to get rid of. We, of course, do it to both sides because we did a property of equality. 5 divided by 5 is just 1, so we have just 1w. But remember, we're lazy. We don't usually bother writing the 1, so really this is just w. 65 divided by 5, that's a little bit more tricky. If we wanted to, we could do some long division. How many times does 5 go into 6? It goes in once. We subtract. How many times does 5 go into 15? It goes in 13 times. Well, it goes in 3 times, rather. But our answer here is going to be 13. So w is equal to 13. So step 5, in that case, would be do the math. And finally, step 6. This is great for when you need to show your reasoning to make sure that you're right. If you don't have a teacher in front of you, you can always do this. Let's take our 13 for w, and we're going to replace w in our original equation with the value that we found. So step 6 is to check your work. We're going to do 5 times 13. What is 5 times 13? It's 65. Does 65 equal 65? Yes, of course it does. So we know that we're correct, and we can be basically done with this. This pattern works for any problem that you might have. If you have an addition problem, you're going to write your goal at the bottom, you're going to identify the operation, you're going to use the property of equality that's opposite to that operation. So if you see addition, you'll use subtraction. You use the number you want to get rid of to subtract from both sides, and then you do the math. Same thing with subtraction. If you see subtraction in your equation to begin with, if you see division in your equation to begin with, you're going to use multiplication. And that's it. There's not much more to this. So that's actually the end of the video already. Can you believe it? Again, pause here if you need to write down any of the notes. We went through that very quickly. And other than that, have a good rest of your day.